Mr. President, on October 7th, 2023, Hamas terrorists shocked the human conscience when they carried out a brutal attack on Israel that murdered innocent men, women, children, babies. An attack during which terrorists raped innocent women. An assault during which Hamas took hundreds hostage, including Americans and Holocaust survivors. For people everywhere, and especially Jewish people, this brutal terrorist attack shook us all to our core. It shattered our hearts and it led to our collective grief. A grief that has lasted for years as we've awaited the day when these innocent hostages could be reunited with their families. Since the aftermath of October 7th, I've had these posters in the lobby of my office to remind every single person who walked through the doors that innocent people were still being brutally held by Hamas terrorists. These signs have been a reminder of who started this war and how it was kept going for so long. For more than 2 years, 739 agonizing days, families in Israel, in the United States, and around the world have lived every waking moment in anguish, waiting, praying, advocating for the safe return of their loved ones taken hostage, again, by the terrorist organization that is Hamas. And those folks never stopped. They never tired. They traveled across continents and oceans to make sure that the world would never forget their commitment to freeing their loved ones and that their voices would be heard and that their loved ones would be brought home. And so their mission was not to stop speaking out until they were reunited with their loved ones. And I've had the honor of meeting these families many times over the last couple of years, both in Israel and here in the United States. I've had the honor of meeting mothers and fathers who showed me photos of their missing children, of meeting brothers and sisters who refused to give up hope, and even meeting survivors who escaped captivity and still found the courage to tell their stories when it wasn't pretty or it isn't easy, and they will spend the rest of their lives healing. I've also met with families of innocent people who were taken hostage and murdered and whose bodies Hamas refused to return to their loved ones. I've sat with them, I've listened to their gut-wrenching stories, cried with them, and promised them that America and Congress would never turn away. And as a mother, as a wife, frankly, as a human being, I can understand their fight, their desire to be reunited with their loved ones, and how deep that pain is for them. It's why I've worked with colleagues on both sides of the aisle and across 2 different administrations to continue shining that light on the need to return hostages to their families, to their communities. And this week, that day finally came. After many long, painful months of negotiations, a ceasefire deal has been reached, one that has resulted in the return of all the living hostages. This is a testament to the resilience and relentless work of families, allies, advocates who never stop speaking out and standing up. I'm deeply grateful to the Trump administration for reaching a deal to make this day possible for these families. This is a testament to what we can do, what can happen when we put politics aside and care for each other as human beings, when we have empathy for each other. And while we've been overjoyed to see the images of hostages being reunited with their loved ones, it's brought us to tears. Let us not forget those who haven't been so lucky, because Hamas continues to hold the bodies of dead hostages, including Americans Itai Khan and Omer Nutra. I've met their families. I have felt their pain. And we cannot forget them. We cannot forget these families, families who will never get to see their loved ones, families who never got to say goodbye that one last "I love you" before their loved one went off to a music festival to enjoy an evening concert. So we must remain clear-eyed that our work is not over. The agreement is still in its early stages, and now is not the time to sit idly by. And so I hope the Trump administration and my colleagues in Congress on both sides of the aisle continue to provide support and enforce guardrails to see this through. We must remain committed to ensuring the quick return of the deceased hostages, to give their families, well, maybe some sense of closure that they need and that they deserve. We must make sure that Israel's security remains ironclad, that Hamas are terrorists. Let's be clear, they can never again threaten innocent lives, and that no terrorist organization should be using civilians as shields or bargaining chips. We should demand this much. No terrorist organization should never use civilians as shields or bargaining chips, as we have seen. And at the same time, we must also act to ease the immense suffering of innocent Palestinians in Gaza. They need access to humanitarian aid, to food and to medicine, and the chance to rebuild their communities free from Hamas terrorist control and oppression. But most of all, we must not let this fragile moment pass by without redoubling our commitment to peace, a lasting peace that ensures safety, dignity, and self-determination for both Israelis and Palestinians. So this week, as we mark this moment of long-awaited relief, let us remember our work is not done. For peace is not achieved in a single day. It is built with strength and courage of those who refuse to give up on it, for the hostages who survived and for those who tragically did not, for the families who waited, for the families who advocated for the return of their loved ones, and for the people who continue to pray for a peaceful future. So may this step be the first sign of change as we move towards an end to violence, towards a future where Israeli and Palestinian children alike can grow up knowing not war, but embracing hope, a hope for a peaceful tomorrow. It is my hope as well. Thank you, Mr. President.